Crispy, I do want to address the elephant in the room, so to speak, and that elephant is blue. I'm talking about PlayStation and some of the things that have come out in the last couple of days. And, well, today's opening salvo, if you will, isn't good. You had sent it. Quite a few people had DM'd me with it. And the story that this very centric PlayStation site is talking about is there are rumors that PlayStation is currently pulling all funding from PlayStation VR 2.0, which basically means that they have abandoned this hardware. And if you are a gamer who had purchased this very expensive hardware for $600 plus your PlayStation 5 purchase, you are now stuck holding the bag, so to speak. Now, what's interesting is yesterday, more Sony bad news. They are stopping Sony rewards. Now, this is not to be confused, because I got it wrong initially, with PlayStation Stars. Sony Rewards is a program for anything that you buy that's Sony. That is being stopped and shut down along with the mobile app on December 31st of the end of this year, 2024. But you see, that's not where the bad news stops. It continues. Because if you didn't know, and let's say, for instance, that you are a die-hard PlayStation Stars fan where you buy a lot of games and you accumulate points that you can then turn into buying, well, more games. Well, that service, suspiciously enough, has been offline and down, Crispy Bomb, since June 5th. So I'm a bit, again, this is a conundrum, because just look at the pattern, right? The pattern is they have their state of disappointment and it's just utter rubbish, right? They have an incident with their PlayStation Stars rewards program, where when you call customer service, the people on the other end of the line are telling you, hey, don't make any purchases because those are probably not going to count once this goes back online. Utter ridiculousness. Then we hear that the Sony Rewards program is being shut down. And now we have the news story of PlayStation VR 2.0, all funding being pulled from it. And here is the cherry on top of this sundae that everyone wants to push away from their plate. They're not going to Gamescom either. This is back to back bad news with Sony. And you know something that I find not surprising but incredibly interesting is that no one from the PlayStation community is out there reading PlayStation and Sony the Riot Act for this, and no one in the gaming media except for smaller sites are addressing the problem. Well, we're going to talk about it right here. I want to hear what you have to say.
I mean, it's an oxymoron or something, like, just it's baffling that people don't say nothing. Like, if this was Xbox, which we had, like the reward system changed a little bit and stuff like, we still get rewards. It's just a little different. But remember how lambasted they got by like all the media? Oh, all this. And then all the pundits, the people that just can't shut up, say all these crazy things. Well, now look at you. Okay. Like, what are we talking about here? We're talking about taking away services. We're talking about taking away, options to get games for, just playing or purchasing. So you get more games, having something down for this long does not look good. Are you changing it? Well, why can't you change it while still having that in the pipeline being able to be used? So you're telling your consumer not to purchase games if you are a part of this. I'm baffled, because the only people that are going to talk about it is people like us. And even like, to see Push Square say something, like, it's like, okay, what I mean? And there's a couple other sites that absolutely said something. And then the VR too. I mean, I hear they got 2 games in the pipeline. You got 2 games. I mean, aren't we like, 2 games, that's not enough for a $600 peripheral. Is it? I mean, you paid more than the console technically.
Yep.
What are we talking about here? And then to not have any backwards compatibility at all is showing that it's killing them, because if you had PSVR 1 games get a little upgrade, people would go back into them. But this is why Boom didn't buy it to begin with. And then on top of that, they're like, oh, we don't have anything for Gamescom. Why are we going to spend the money to go there? And then Xbox is just like, yeah, we got the biggest booth. Yeah, we'll see you later there, Sony. I'm just saying, if I was a PlayStation, and I've done this with Xbox, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, at least you got to ask the question. But instead, I see, a lot of, I'm just going to ignore that happened. Like seriously, like if this was Xbox, everybody be like, oh, the world's ending. Oh, is Xbox dead? Those are the type of terms that we would hear from not only the media, but all the stands out there. So I'm calling y'all to the carpet because I got receipts. And I'm going to tell you right now, some of y'all are just hypocrites. And I'm going to leave it at that.
It's a fair point. And you know what's interesting? You say about criticism. How many times has everybody on this panel, whether it be this show or their own shows, the minute Xbox does something egregious, we're the first ones to be like, hold on, we got to get out in front of this. This is unacceptable behavior. Now, whether it changes or it doesn't, at least as Xbox fans, we give it to them when they deserve it, right? But PlayStation gamers put the head in the sand and be like, yeah, you know what? It's fine. Then it gets one of those gifts. There's nothing to see here, and the whole fireworks thing is blowing up behind them. It's crazy to me. But Fuzzy Belvedere, good morning, kind sir. Welcome back. How you feeling?
Good morning. Feeling great. Man, just Crispy nailed it right on the head as far as like when it comes to anything PlayStation, a lot of people will like just go dark or go silent completely. Whether it's issues with like no games for a roadmap or anything along those lines from first party, or some of the cancellations. Like remember when Scalebound was like in the newspapers for like months for it being canceled, but we still don't hear anything about Factions being canceled because it was Naughty Dog and they don't do multiplayer games, I guess. But as far as like their rewards program, I mean, it was kind of crap to begin with. Let's just be honest. Like you could buy a Sony, TV that's $2,000, and I think you would only get enough points to maybe get like $15 off on a game or something. So it wasn't anywhere near as generous as the Microsoft one, even after it's been adjusted several times. It's still nowhere near that. But to look at it from the standpoint of their tier 4 or tier 5 customer service, if you're unable to get the rewards points from buying other Sony products other than just playing certain games and getting certain collectibles and things, then what's the purpose of that Stars program in general? Like, I get it. The Stars program is never meant to reward you with free games unless you're like a real hardcore, play every day, buy almost everything. And then, well, if you almost buy everything, then why are they giving you a free game? But that's a whole nother story. But it's weird to me that, as a PlayStation 5 owner, like, yes, I'm still playing GT7 on it. Would like to play some other games. Like a Ghost of Tsushima 2 would be nice to at least hear about. Do I assume that it's in the works? I guess I can, but we could say the same thing about, well, Motorsport was always going to be in the works, and Forza Horizon 6 is going to be in the works type of thing. But I don't like to assume. I at least like to hear some updates from the developer if they don't have anything that we rightfully know is being worked on. Like at least with Playground, we know Fable's being worked on. We've seen it. It's coming next year. I can assume that Forza Horizon 6 is coming shortly after that, but I don't necessarily need to hear about it today. But what is Sucker Punch working on today? What is Naughty Dog working on today? What is, Sony Santa Monica working on today? Nobody seems to, want to bother asking those questions on Team Blue side. But, it is what it is. They always have this, I'm concerned about Xbox the minute that, they didn't see the HUD for gameplay. It's clear that it's gameplay, but, they didn't see the HUD. So I'm concerned that, well, maybe the gameplay will be different than what's shown. Okay, I guess you can be concerned about that, but wouldn't you be more concerned about hey, I haven't had a first party game from my preferred platform in almost a year and a half, probably going on 2 years by this time next year, unless of course you play MLB, but they don't want to claim that one because it's multiplat. Oh well, the MLB made them make that multiplat. Oh, okay, that's fine, but it's still made by a first party studio. But I guess we know what they're working on at least. We know what Insomniac's working on because of all of the leaks from that particular studio, and it seems like Sony has relied on them heavily between, doing a remaster of the original Spider-Man 2018 and Spider-Man 2 and Venom and Wolverine, which is exclusive on PC at the minute, but that's a whole nother story. But yeah, it's funny to me that, I mean, with the exception of like maybe a handful, and I can probably count them on one hand as far as the prominent Sony PlayStation members that actually push back against Sony not being at any showcases or having a showcase or having a roadmap or anything along those lines. But it is what it is. I guess they don't have concern for their platform, but only Xbox, when it seems like Xbox is actually doing something as opposed to PlayStation doing anything right now. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, listen, great points from so far from Crispy and Fuzzy, and you're absolutely correct. There are several PlayStation gamers that will not move against the brand no matter what they do, and ultimately you're the problem. At least we can say as Xbox fans, when Xbox gets it wrong and we don't like what they're doing, we don't make hate videos, but we get on a podcast and we let them know about themselves. And a lot of the times when we do that, they do things to course correct. Sony doesn't care. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They don't care about anything but profits. And that's a perfect example of how they continue to rake its fan base over the coals. And when people ask for something like, I don't know, Korkenstein, maybe a roadmap, because I could have added that to the list that we opened up this topic with, and that would be disastrous point number 6. But no, everything's good and good. Console sales, right? That's what it immediately goes back to is, hey, we sold 60 million consoles. Good on you. Congratulations, your lead. But you know what's interesting, and this could be point 7. Sony told you, the fans, that the PS5 is tracking behind the PS4 right now as we speak. And OPS, by the way, if you didn't know, more than 50% of PlayStation gamers are still on PS4. So I'm sorry to say, it's kind of stinky in PlayStation land right now. And if you think otherwise, then you're the problem. But Korkenstein, let's talk about it, because again, no Gamescom, no roadmap. They're abandoning PlayStation VR 2.0. They're closing Sony Rewards. The PlayStation Stars program, offline since June 5th. As of today, still offline with no explanation as to what's happening other than, hey, our engineers are working on the problem. So it's going to be 3 weeks before we get an answer. And like I said, I know this because people have been posting this on Reddit. When you call customer service, they are advising you not to make any purchases because those will not count. Korkenstein, let's get your hot take on the Sony conundrum, if you will. Welcome back. Let's talk about it.
I am so sorry, guys. Please, sorry to everybody.
Stop it. It happens.
Yeah. So basically, I mean, but this is the issue. It ends up coming out to where these outlets, we're not going to have respect. I know you don't like naming names, so we're not going to name names, but this is where these outlets have this issue where they funnel themselves into this tunnel vision. They put themselves in these echo chambers, and all they do is, talk about PlayStation, how great PlayStation is. So then when something bad happens, they really have nothing to say because in their head, everything's great. And that's the issue I have with a lot of outlets today. I mean, even still, we had some people, I don't know, Nintendo won E3, and it's like, really, why? It's just, it doesn't make any sense. And me as a PlayStation consumer, I'd be very worried. Like I was saying, we had 1,100 invested into the PlayStation ecosystem. That's not even including games. Now you're telling me I just wasted all this money on VR gaming, and you're just like, well, psych, not going to happen anymore.
Yeah.
This is also the issue that's going to happen with the PlayStation Pro. This is why I think maybe they might not release it. Not enough developers are going to go back, get their get their games upgraded or put the investment into making these games to where they run, back compat. That was a big mistake on PlayStation. Yeah, I get it. New technology, that's fine. But you have to figure out a way to get this investment so people that invested already in PlayStation VR 1 can join in VR 2 without any issues. But that's never been PlayStation. It's always been pay for the power to the payer.
PlayStation 5 is what you're saying. Basically.
Yeah, pretty much this whole generation. And this is why, we're gonna say, everyone's like, oh, Jim Ryan retired, but this is why it's been, this is why he was kind of, I think, voluntold, hey, you gotta go. You've kind of tanked the business.
I like that, voluntold.
Yeah, I think he was gracefully told, hey, you got to kick rocks here because we're in trouble. And they forecasted it. They saw it. I think he they've been copying Xbox step for step for the last few years. He was handed a golden football. He was at, for the football fans out here, he was in the red zone. He was, 2 yards away from the touchdown. He just had the QB sneak. That's it. Just run it up the middle. But, nope. Instead, somehow he fumbled the ball and they ran it all the way back now to Xbox's goalpost. It's I don't know what to say with PlayStation. I'd be very frustrated as a consumer. I'm not getting support. I'm not getting these bangers that everybody talked about. I'm not getting the same investment I had when I purchased into the PlayStation 4 ecosystem. It just doesn't make any sense on how this isn't getting covered, but we all know why it isn't. And it's just, it's sad, and this is the state. This is why you guys, all of you in the chat, everybody here, you have to start following people that understand the brand, not only you like, but understand the industry as a whole. And that's very rare nowadays. I know people don't like, I love reading Jez Corden. I know him personally. He's a great guy, really good dude. I love his insights. A lot of people don't like his stuff, but he's a great dude. I would really trust a lot of the stuff he has to say. He's very passionate about it. If you guys like really good Xbox sites, Xbox Era is a perfect one. Yep. We've all hung out with him. It's these are the sites that you guys have to invest in to get the real news of what's really going on in the industry and what's going on with Xbox as a company. But yeah, that's my little mini PlayStation rant.